welcome to Group 2 video presentation. As stated in the beginning of the video that we're gonna talk about tax law. So as the first representative of the groups, I'm gonna tell the short definition and the functions of the tax law. It is a rules that regulate all rights and obligation and every interaction of one who's having obligation to pay the taxes and the government who earns the taxes. The function itself is to be used as reference for any kind of tax collection and to create order, whether for the one who earns the tax and the one who's obligated to pay the taxes. This kind of law is needed in almost every country, since if there's no law to regulate these things, people might ignore to pay the taxes, and it will be bad for the country itself. And it is not just applied for the one who pay the taxes, but also for the one who earns it. Here are some laws that regulates any kind of things that has connection with taxes. You can search this by your own on the internet later, but the main discussion will be continued by my friend Tessa Laurencia.
Moving on to the next topic, I will explain about what is tax reform. Let's see what is the definition of reform first. Reform means make change in order to improve something. And tax reform means a significant and comprehensive change in the taxation system, include reforming tax administration, improving tax regulation, increasing tax bases, or removing all taxes. And in many developing countries, one of the most important why they implemented tax reform is to change the tax system to meet the requirements of a market economy with the aim of increasing the ability to compete internationally. Next, tax reform in Indonesia. Tax reform in Indonesia was implemented in late 1983 with the issuance of 5 new tax laws. You can read it here. And what is the reason tax reform was implemented back then? It is because the previous law was made by Dutch colonial government was deemed outdated. So that's why we need to implement tax reform. And one of the biggest problems facing by Indonesia is state revenue, which is still very dependent on the oil and gas sector. And in addition, the level of tax revenue and tax ratio is lower compared to other Asian countries and G20 countries. That's why government seeks to increase state revenue from the tax sector. And according to the Directorate General of Taxes, there are 5 reasons why tax reform needs to be carried out. The first reason is low level of taxpayer compliance. Second, the tax revenue target increases every year. Third, difficulty in monitoring and law enforcement. Fourth, the development of the digital economy and technological advance is very rapid. Fifth, rules that anticipate the development of trade transactions. Summing up the reason above, it can conclude that tax reform was carried out because taxation regulation is a very influential foundation in determining the direction of government policy in taxation. With a strong foundation in the form of reliable tax-based data and information as well as tax compliance mapping, it's hoped that the tax regulation can improve tax compliance, because this foundation is the main asset for determining the future direction of the tax strategy.
Hello guys, guys, this is Rizkawati, the last member of this group. My friends already give you the previous material. Then this is my turn to explain you the continued material with the title When do the tax payment carry out and how it's going to be expired. This is the important lesson you should know, because when you know the tax times, you know the classifications you have, so you should pay the tax, and because there's some condition in the future, you not need to pay the tax anymore. And this explanation, we have the stance from the tax law of Indonesia itself. The first, pasal 2 Undang-Undang PPH tahun 1984, and then the second, Peraturan Dirjen Pajak nomor 43 tahun 2011. In this tax law, will explain you who is the subject of the tax and how it started and how at the end it will expire. From the both tax law, there are 3 subjects of the tax. The first, domestic private person. The second, domiciled agency or business. And then the third, the abroad one, doing domiciled agency or business in Indonesia. I will give you the explanation one by one. First, domestic private person. Domestic private person include to be as residence taxpayers starts when a person was born in Indonesia, resides in Indonesia, and have intends to reside in Indonesia. Residing in Indonesia is a must be in Indonesia for more than 183 days within a period of 12 months, or residing in Indonesia in tax year and intends to reside in Indonesia. A person is said to have a place to live in Indonesia if that person in Indonesia have the place of residence. It will be the permanent dwelling place, do the ordinary course of life, and then be the place of habitual abundance, or have a place of domicile. And it will end when the man died or leaves Indonesia forever. According to the explanatory section, the meaning of living Indonesia forever must be linked to the real things when the individual leaves Indonesia. If at the time he leaves Indonesia, there is a clear evidence of his intention to live Indonesia forever, at that time he is no longer a domestic taxpayer. The second of the tax subject is domiciled agency or business. This is the citizen of Indonesia build up a business. The business will count it as the taxpayers since the business established domicile in Indonesia and receive the income of the business in Indonesia. How it's going to be end or expires, it's when the business disbanded or no longer domiciled in Indonesia. And then the third subject of the tax is the abroad one doing domiciled agency or business in Indonesia. This is not citizen of Indonesia, this is the foreign citizens, but do the business in Indonesia. They are starting to be the taxpayer is when running a business or doing activities to permanent established in Indonesia. They are counted as the taxpayer. And the end of the paying tax is when they are not running a business or doing activities longer through permanence established in Indonesia. They are the 3 subjects of the tax. So now we know the subject of the tax, how it's going to be started and how it's going to be end. Hopefully you understand, and thank you.
Right now, I will explain about 2 types of tax. The first one is central tax. What is central tax? Central tax is a tax imposed by central government through law. The collection authority controlled by central government, or we call it as Directorate General of Taxation. And the results are used to finance the central government and development. And central tax include income tax, value-added tax, sales tax on luxury goods, land and building tax, forestry and mining, and the last is stamp duty. The second type of tax is regional tax. So what is regional tax? Regional tax is an obligatory contribution to the region owed by an individual or entity based on law, without receiving direct compensation, and is controlled by regional government. The result is used for regional needs for the greatest prosperity of the people. So that's all the types of tax. Thank you for your attention. That's all our presentation for today, and we apologize if there were any mistake. Thank you.